This is why United States ICE Director Todd Lyons is having mental health issues right now. And it's the same reason why you saw Stephen Miller on stage look the way he did. And it's the same reason why you saw Pete Hegseth look the way he did recently, Marco Rubio. It's related to why Donald Trump is spiraling out of control over his 33% approval rating, which is the lowest, and he's spastic. Recent articles say that Donald Trump's inner circle's job has become increasingly more difficult as they have to actually back up Donald Trump's spastic, constantly changing instincts and make them a reality. And it's an exhausting task. BBC Chairman Bowens writes of the war that's relying on the president's instincts rather than a well-worked set of plans, even if they must be adapted or discarded, makes it harder to fight a war. And it comes down to the fact that the window is closing in. The narrow window that they had to help Donald Trump exact revenge over his enemies, grift, do whatever he wants for this second term, is coming to a close. And if this is the timeline in history, and on the other side of this timeline, history continues on the other side of this, as you've seen with the wins with the Democrats in the special elections and the local elections and the flipping of the seats left and right, including in Florida, what they're seeing on that is criminal referrals, civil referrals, is state attorney generals. It is civil actions. It is class action suits. It's international. It's folks oversight. It's people digging. It's people finding out. It's people uncovering more, and the layers and layers are going to be peeled back. And every single thing they've been doing in this universe is going to be uncovered, including whatever it is that the head of the guy has been trying to conceal from the American people through the willful, deliberate cover up of the files, and whatever it is, it's going to be found out because now he has like 10,000 hounds looking for it, and every single day people are coming up with new clues, new insight, and it's never looking good. And so they realize their legacy is going to be tied to whatever they find out about that, and also that they essentially have sold out themselves and their futures because there's so many people are pissed at them and they're aware that all the things they've done, all the destruction, the lives they've upset, the international laws that they've been broken, the the civil, the constitutional, the human rights violations that has been carried out openly. Because it's not to say that constitutional human rights, civil rights violations have existed as long as man has existed in this countries and others. It's just been subtle. It's been covert. It's been not obvious. It hasn't been all eyes on it. Donald Trump is so loud and boisterous and always there, never quiet moment. Every single day he has to be in front of the cameras, just putting on is exhausting. He's given those people no time to rest because he's constantly in front of the camera doing something and having them defend the indefensible all the time. He shapeshifts, he moves, and they can't barely keep up. And it's exhausting. And they're exhausted because they don't have time to rest. And they don't have time to think. They don't have time to process. And it's just they're coming to the grips and realization that they're doing something for somebody who doesn't even have loyalty to them. They saw what he did to Christy Nome, and they see the words they see and hear the words he say, and he's spilling out stuff. He's saying, "I don't need to be among smart people. I prefer to be the smartest in the room." So they're realizing that it was maybe not a good idea to yield their authority on certain things to him because he doesn't know what he's doing and he's doesn't know how to govern. He doesn't know the law, and they letting someone who doesn't have authority, doesn't know how to law, is motivated and moved by grievance, power, superficial bullshit that has nothing to do with the strategy or long-term planning. It's dealing with his immediate emotional needs and his emotionally he's emotionally stunted 79-year-old in the body of a toddler and has no business whatsoever leading, and they are following the lead of somebody like that who really has no business being the lead, and they seeing him fall apart in front of their eyes, and they are just trying to hold him up. It's like Weekend and Bernie's, and then they have to deal with varying factions and personalities of people who all either trying to puppeteer their way out of this and or trying to save face at the same time. So it's the warring factions, interests, and all at the same time. It's just a freaking chaotic mess. And they're like, oh, now we're tied to this mess. And we and our children are going to be tied to this. And they're it's messing them up. And they're just like, okay, what do we do? Now, as to Donald Trump, he, in his, you know, Adderall ridden, like messed up brain, is asking, and wondering and spazzing out over the approval rating and wondering how do we get here? There is an article that said, Donald Trump has this plausible deniability. There was an article that says no one knew, and that's his thing. He says no one knew. Essentially, when he's caught out from doing something that's, is determined to be unlawful, to be too hard, to be like he has to retreat and it's not looking good and he has to go back. He can always say, okay, I'm going back because no one knew this. This was anticipated. This was unprecedented. So of course, these are uncharted waters. And so we have to change and shift course because no one knew this. I mean, the fact of the matter is, people always know. There's a case of a veteran expert on Iran who served through multiple administrations who they got rid of because, again, they were purging people because this belief couldn't Russell vote that there was a deep state or deep, people who were loyal to the Democrats or the Democrat administrations and were undermining Donald Trump, but that's not the case. They're paranoid and crazy. And so they got rid of a lot of the experts. The expert even left. They purged them. They doge cut them. And now that they're left with sycophants who are unqualified, who know what the hell they're doing. And so when you say nobody knew this, I saw a report that says, yeah, they did know it because your Iranian expert told you. Tulsi Gabbard got rid of the person in the Defense National Intelligence. There's two lawyers who told Donald Trump, do not invoke the Alien Enemies Act because you're going to get in trouble. And it's been a mess, and she fired them. The person who told them about the 2020 files, they fired them. Any single person in DOJ that warns them and say this is what's coming on, they don't want to hear the warning. They fire the people, and then they do it anyway. And then when they're called out by either courts, by international, by public opinion, by ratings, and they say this is a bad decision, they see the impact of them doing it against the advice of the experts. They say no one knew, no one told us, no one knew this. That's what you've been doing, Donald Trump. And so we know that you only ran to stay out of prison, but what you did do is everything you've done is what's called unforced error. For those people in sports, if someone at the free throw line and they mess up, that's their nerves got to them, but they were just by themselves in the basket. The tennis player who does a double fault, there was no one doing anything. The opponent was not doing anything that's like, it was you versus you, right? And so with the Trump administration, you were given a bin when you came into Obama administration. Obama gave you and Biden gave you a bin that had positive up. The economy was going up in terms of every single thing in this bin. Let's say Legos, because the Iranians love to use Lego toys. And there was different Lego figurines that were already structured. They represent the financial sector. They represent domestic policy, foreign policy, immigration policy, policies related to the government and all sorts of things. Like, these in this bin. And you have the opportunity to just go in the bin and see what you want, modest tweaks to the different pieces to perfect them to fit within your policy, within your goal, which I did do the first term. But instead, you chose to take this bin of already fixed things, turn them upside down, and they scattered in little pieces, and there's a mess. And the mess, and you're looking at the mess and be like, wow, how did that mess happen? Like, why did this get here? You adopted a policy of Project 2025 that was unpopular when you did it. When you ran for president, you knew it was unpopular because you purposely made sure to tell people you had nothing to do with you. And they said it. Like, this has nothing to do with Donald Trump, even though we know from research that they were actually with them for the beginning. But they say it's so unpopular that Donald Trump can't attach himself. So you still saw that it was unpopular when you were running. And so when you come into office and you implement something that's unpopular, why are you surprised that it's unpopular, that it's causing your approval rating to go down? Because it was not approved when you were running and you knew that. So you implement it. Of course, you're not going to approve it. It's not a surprise. What do you mean no one told you? You knew this because you shied away from it. So and the unforced errors are your own. You chose that you had a good employment rate. And what do you do with your positive unemployment rate? You choose to let Elon Musk fire hundreds of thousands of federal workers. That's a mess with the unemployment rate. You send federal troops to cities, which messes up the restaurant industry. And then they have to fire people. You implement a trade policy that's like not secure, like
No one takes it seriously. But the impact of it is the cattle industry, the soybean farmers, the manufacturing, the fall apart because it's not sustainable, and they lose money and the economy because of it. You're losing and costing money to the entertainment, the tourism industry, to the education. In the United States, one of the things we have is our schools, because you're tackling and attacking international students, asking to see their social media. Who wants to apply here? They'll just like, we just wait for this administration to run out. And then the tourists who want to come here, you're attacking tourists, saying what's so Texas and Florida are feeling the impacts of that, and their economies impacted. That's unforced error. So, in addition to the unforced era of tariffs disrupting stable economies with a stupid, untested tariff policy, the impact of an aggressive immigration enforcement that caused stable economies in the restaurant industry and the construction industry and the beef cattle and the soybeans and the tourism and the education industries in the United States that were just stable for the most part. You came and destabilized existing institutions with aggressive policies that were untested, that you believe you're the smartest person in the room when you're really not smart. And that's the problem. And that's why you have the problems that you have, believing that. There was a quote recently that you said you don't like to be around people that are smart because you got to listen to them. And this is why you have 33%, because you're not smart and you don't know how to govern, and you refuse to listen to people who know what they're talking about. And that's why we're here. That's why you're here 33%. So don't act like you don't know what it is. When you're saying it in one breath, you don't like smart people, you don't want to listen to smart people, and you think the smartest people, smartest person, and then you're just like, how do I get to this 33% approval rating? What did I do wrong? Who, who knew? Darling, everybody knew. You're overly aggressive. Essentially, you're bought into your own hype. You left that 2024 November thinking that you had a mandate. We always say this. You won 77 million people, 75 million voted for Kamala Harris, 95 sat out. That's 165 million people. So you never ever had the American people never for you. And in every single swing state, you won by less than 200,000 votes. And there were 1 million people that sat out. So when you say you won swing states, but did you really? And then out of the last few people who won the popular votes, presidents, or who won the popular vote, the winner of the popular vote now is president, because Hillary Clinton won the popular vote when she ran. You had the narrowest, like you didn't even get 50%, over 50%. So that tells you you've never had a mandate. So despite the fact you never had a mandate, you decided to go alt-right. Alt-right with the racism, and then alt-right with the anti-immigration enforcement. And what happened when you did that? You discovered really fast that America is in the center. Like, we do not want alt-right politics. That if the purpose was this, to fight DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and woke this. And by the way, woke means empathy towards everyone in your space and time, and recognizing and holding space for other people and recognizing their humanity. That's what it meant. So you anti-woke means do not have empathy and compassion for people who are not white, Christian, who do not look like you. Do not hold space, have empathy for them, make room for them at the table. That's what anti-woke is. So you told people don't do that. And folks who believe they're good people was like, no, I'm a good person. I'm not going to judge people by their skin color. And I'm like colorblind. And I don't see race. And so you're asking me to see race and to race these people, their history, their culture, and to marginalize them and deny them opportunity and to push them to the side and subjugate them and oppress them. That's what you're saying that you want me to agree with. And people who feel like they're decent was like, no, I actually okay with these people. So to the extent that you were trying to hope people embrace the anti-woke movement, all you did was drive them closer to the wokeness, made them more empathetic. It was like the opposite. And that's what happens when you go extreme and rogue. And then second, we're saying through with your immigration, the mass immigration, you got emboldened. You're saying your whole campaign. I don't know why people say stuff like, you don't like America, leave. I'm like, have you heard Donald Trump's doing his stump speeches during the campaign? He said so much bad things about America. He was like horrible. It's a dumping ground. They have all these people from all these countries. It's in decline. They have decay. We're dumping ground. He talked about America so badly. The whole motto, make America great again, is based on him believing America's not great. So if he can talk about America the way he talked about America and says it's not great, why are you telling me, who's also critical, that I should leave? Tell him to leave. He's the one that doesn't like it. I don't want to talk about America that bad. I know he has his flaws, But I appreciate the opportunities it gave for me. I know that it has freedoms. It knows because of it's America, other countries, I can't speak the way I can speak against the president and get away with it. So I recognize all the values and great things about America. And so, no, I'm not leaving. You leave. You're the one your guy once saying the worst thing about it than I am. So he says these bad things about the United States, and the mass immigration now, and he said, let's go all for it. Let's go find people who are already living here, entrenched and embedded into our communities and our society, have been here for years. Through my term, through Obama's term, through Biden's term, these people have been living here, established figures, well beloved figures, and let's go after them. And you thought that the American people were like, yeah, that's a great idea. From day one, April 1, from the April 2025, we saw that that was not going to work. It was not going to work because it polled badly with the Project 2025. That was part of their agenda, and it polled badly. And the very first test case was Tom Homan's in Saxton Harbor, New York. That the people in that that's beachfront, in front of that bayfront, like vacation town, rallied behind a family of four, a mother and her three sons that were detained by ICE because they got caught up in some random raid, not the targets, but just because there were people of color and they were Hispanic. They said, we're just going to go and get those people, not criminals. They thought you were coming after criminals. On day one, you started tackling people who are embedded in the communities, and those folks rallied around those four people and say, we didn't sign up for this. We're not quite sure of our ICE neighbors. We don't think they're good people. They went to, and they said, Tom Homan, where's these folks? That was your sign from April 2025 that Project 2025 agenda of going after people embedded and embedded in the communities was not a good idea. And rather than take a hint from that and say, yeah, we might want to scale back, then let's not do this. You went all in and y'all dug in deeper and more violently. And the pictures and images went worldwide, went nationwide. And people are like, oh my God, this man is attacking his own people. So when you go and say, I'm freeing the people of Iran, and tell the people from Iran, to fight against the oppressors or the Iranian government and the Alatoya, and people like, who the hell are you talking to? Y'all just killed two of your own US citizens for protesting. You have no moral authority whatsoever here, sir. Get the fuck out of here. So no one believes you. You got no credibility. And you definitely don't have credibility on criminality, because every single thing this administration has done from day one has been unlawful, has been against the law. You don't follow court orders. You're violating people's civil rights, the constitutional rights, the human rights, the ultra virus, the balance of power, all the laws. You're using laws the way they're not supposed to be used, and you're violating people's rights up and down. And then on top of that, the person who you're doing this on behalf of is a convict himself, who was found liable for sexual abuse, and the judge said he actually did rape someone, and he's multiple allegations of children, saying that he did stuff to them, and then the Epstein files are revealing evidence. No, some substantiated. We always have to say this. It's not read it, but it's a lot of, it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck. And, it's like, how many times does one person have to be accused of the same crime before you realize there's a pattern here? So that is a person who you guys have as your president. That's a person who's leading you. So when that's the person who's at the top of your ticket, and you guys are talking about criminality and illegal stuff, like no one's listening to y'all, because it's kind of like your leader's illegal, and sooner than later we're gonna find out some other really nasty illegal stuff he did. So if y'all are cool with being really, we're not, and I don't think the rest of the world is either. It's not going to look good. People are running away from Cesar Chavez. When they finding out that Cesar Chavez abused young children and had his way with them, took liberties with children, schools around the world, around the nation, named from him are assembling commissions to find a new name. Palm Beach is not. They're actually adding the name to somebody who a judge said raped someone. Like adjudicated rapist. Y'all adding that adjudicated rapist to the name of y'all airport. I don't think that's gonna last too much longer. But yeah, y'all, and because he's the president, he's adding his name to all this stuff. Your legacy, sir, is going to be muddied because of the things you've done, and every single thing you slapped your name on is going to be removed, and you are going to have a long lasting legacy, but it's going to be in the history books and not for what you think it is. It's for all the crimes. The reason why at one point during Air Force One you said, I don't think I'm going to heaven. Yeah, I don't think, because you were thinking about all the stuff you've done, and as you get older, the filter is gone, and so you don't realize stuff that you shouldn't say out loud. And so by you saying that, essentially you confessing, admitting to us that yeah, you've done some things in this life that is not something that God will welcome you in open arms into the pearly gates with. And so, yeah. So if you know that, and the people around you, if they don't know that, they're not aware of that, he knows that. So he knows. So when it comes out, y'all are wearing that. So that's what that face was. That's why Todd Lyons is having mental health crisis right now, I believe. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm just hypothesizing. And that's why all those men look like the way they look. That's why Donald Trump is reeling. And that's why the people who in his universe, according to reports, are worried about getting indicted because the it's closing in, and they're going to be shit to pay. What do you think, JJ Lee, Eastman Teachman? What do you think about that? My theories, correct? Not share this video so more people know. Let's have the talk.